Yes, the program, we started talking about it last year. I had some money in a grant for school improvement, and you can't use it for any type of, you can't use it for salaries or things like that. So we were looking at something we could use to try to teach 21st century skills to kids in the district. And Mr. Pickard, actually, our technology coordinator, had been at a conference, a technology conference in Columbus, and had seen how schools were going to handing these types of, they're called Chromebooks is what they are, and they issue them to each student in the school. Now, schools do it different ways. Some of them just buy a classroom set for every classroom where the kids come in and use them in each classroom. Some schools will buy them and then give them out to each student in the building, which is what the program we're working towards here. So the students actually get a Chromebook issued to them. They keep it 24 hours a day, all school year. They and it's theirs to use for the school year. It belongs to them. What's that? Yeah, they take them home with them. They bring them to school. They know they're supposed to charge them up when they take them home. Bring them to school charged.
I like that we don't have to write.
Is that good?
Yeah, because it hurts my hand.
Really?
Yeah, when you have to write a lot. It's cool that I have a computer now.
Has it worked out all right? I mean, when you first heard about it, what did you think when you first heard about it?
That it was cool.
It was?
Yeah.
Do you have any older brothers and sisters in school?
I have an older brother and a little brother.
Your older brother, what did he say about the whole thing?
He said it wasn't fair.
That's what I think. Yeah. So was that nice too that your brother was upset that you got the?
Yeah.
So tell me how things are different in school now because of this.
They usually share worksheets with us instead of handing them to us, and we can do group work on them with classmates.
We went with the Chromebook because instead of like a laptop device, because your laptops have a processing unit in them, and so they're prone to a lot more mechanical malfunctions, viruses, and things like that. Chromebook is an all internet-based device.
It pretty much runs off the cloud.
It runs right off of the cloud. And the nice thing about it is because it's a Google document, all the kids are issued Google accounts through the school, so they can contact all their teachers through these Google accounts. Their teachers post all their assignments through these Google accounts. They can actually collaborate on projects together, either in Google Docs, which is like a word processing program, or a presentation program where they can work on PowerPoints together. And also there's a spreadsheet function too that they can use. It's very simple to, similar to Microsoft Excel. So they're able to share those amongst themselves. And what I found is just some of the things that they're able to do with these now, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I've got teachers, I've got like my history teacher, Mrs. Dixon. She hasn't used a textbook in years now, and this is just really complimented what she does in her classroom. In my language arts classes, I have kids that are actually able to work in groups, creating a group presentation, and the teacher can see what each individual kid's doing by just looking at the color of font that they've contributed to the document. And so it really kind of changed the way things are going here. So we started out this year with 7th graders. Every 7th grader in the building was issued a Chromebook, like 165 of them. Next year, they'll turn those in this summer. We'll reissue them to them next year as 8th graders, and then the next 6th grade group that comes up is going to be issued Chromebooks also, so they'll each have their individual one. And it's our goal then for that to keep just following them up into high school as well. So the way we're looking at it now is when they all hit 7th grade, they all get issued a Chromebook, and then that Chromebook will go with them while they're here at Jefferson with us.
Through the 12th grade or through the...
Through the 12th grade, yeah,
really?
as long as they will last. We're not quite sure as far as the lifespan of one of the Chromebooks. We hear 5 years, so there may be, the need, to look at how long they're lasting with them. But it's been, it's been our experience that they should get at least, they've told us 4 years out of them. So, and then the only cost to the student is there's a $15 technology fee, and basically that technology fee goes towards a insurance policy that we carry on them. So if it's lost or stolen or damaged, then the family isn't on the hook for the cost of that. So
how does that work? You have many kids drop them? Or?
I'm going to tell you the funniest thing we found out about it. We try to project all these things that could go wrong with it, and the number one problem that we've had with these, some screens breaking because they're not real sturdy, But the number one thing we had a rash of early in the year were kids' pets chewing up the charging cords. So we went through about a half a dozen charging cords early in the year and they'd bring them in, they'd be all chewed up by their dogs or whatever. So that was something that was unforeseen. But what they'll do is if they forget one, we ordered like 10% more than we need, and I've been real impressed. The kids don't forget them that often, but if they should forget to bring it in a day, they go to the library, and then the librarian or media specialist will sign one out to them. They can use it here during the day, then they turn it in at the end of the days. But we haven't had a lot of that happening. Same thing, if there's breaks, then we send it to the insurance company. They repair it if possible, replace it if they can't, and then they'll get a loaner to use while it's being sent off. But it hasn't been that big of a problem with us so far. So I was pretty pleased with that.
So we had to change. We knew that we were going to have to change everything that we did and how we did things in the classroom. So we spent time over the summer together, meeting together and working individually on preparing how we could present our curriculum to the kids and how we can use each other as resources to make sure that we understood it. We spent time just on learning how to use the Chromebooks, and then we spent time on doing research on what websites and things that we could find, and
different apps that would work for
Yeah.
our
Yeah, and
individual classes and then the classes as a whole.
I think we spent a 2-hour session just playing with apps together, going, did you find this one? I found this one, just to make it so that each of us were really helping each other, saying this is what we're looking for, and we're supporting each other to get things to work together.
And going Google too, that was all new for us. So using Google Docs and sharing Google Docs and knowing how to edit and how to view, those kinds of things was all also new. So changing that to fit with the Chromebooks for our classrooms for this year was something else that we really spent a lot of time preparing.
Well, I find it simply easier because that's what I'm normally doing with my life. Yeah. So I find it easier. Well, I'm a nerd. I find things with computers, technology easier than other physical ways.
The nice thing about these Chromebooks, I'm going to go back a little bit also, we have problems with some students don't have internet access at home. So, or they don't have a wireless router so that they can access their Chromebooks at home. The nice thing about this is if they go into a teacher's classroom, the teacher can give them access to whatever assignment they have. If it's a worksheet or if it's a homework assignment they need to do, they can actually download it in the classroom, save it on their Chromebook, take it home that night, work on it without really having to go online to access it, come back to school the next day and then load it back up into the server so that it's there. So that was one of the things. We didn't want to put any kids at a disadvantage who may not have access to that computer access. And there's a lot of parts of Asheville County still has pretty spotty internet access, so this helped out for that.
We are part of that Google for Education program. So, I mean, they have a Google Classroom set up so you can put all of your students in those classes and then you can share documents with them that way, which makes it really easy for us because everything is organized when kids turn work in.
Yeah, that's like what I did in my class today. They already received an assignment yesterday and they worked on it, and they can type it. Google Classroom automatically makes a copy for them when I choose that option, and then they're sent that worksheet, and then they can type right on it, and so that way everybody can just bring it up and there's no more, oh, I left it on the kitchen table, or I can't read my handwriting. It's all typed for them, and we give very specific directions so that everybody knows what to do, and then they turn it in so I can actually see that they've done the work. Then we can go back over it, and then they resubmit it to me again, and then I have it on one class list is already set up in Google Classroom. And I do my tests that way as well. I use Google Forms, and I send out my tests, and then they come right back, and there's what are called add-ons on Google Forms that actually grades the test for me and shows me data analysis of what questions they did the best on, which ones they did the least, the poorest on, so that I can use it to then go back and reteach if I need to, or if they're ready to move on. So Google itself has become my best friend in the classroom.
Right.
That's for sure.
Do all the kids know how to type pretty much by the time they get in here? Or?
No. And that's one of the apps that we got.
Right.
We did
a keyboarding
app
for
so
them
that
to use
if I have
for
downtime,
practice.
I'll say get out your, get on your keyboarding app because you need to be typing all the time because now that everything is on there. My class, except for the notebook that they use in the first 5 minutes of class, is all paperless now at this point. So I said you have to learn how to type because you're going to double the time your homework is if you don't have the typing skills as well.
And they're getting better, definitely. Just the experience they've had from this first half of the school year, their typing skills are
You
very
don't
much
see a
improved.
lot of one-handed anymore. They're at least doing two hands.
Right.
Well, at first it was really confusing on using them because it was a lot different than obviously the paper and pencil, but it's nicer because you don't have all the textbooks you have to take home, but it's a lot of responsibility as well, seeing as you have to make sure it's charged every night and you bring it, and so I think that made a lot of kids rethink their schoolwork on, how they got it done and when they got it done. So.
Have you forgotten to charge it? Because I notice kids have it in their class, there's no place really to... does anybody ever have to I'm going to have to go plug in for a while?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure every class, there's a lot of kids who have to plug them in, but I've forgotten to charge it once, but it lasted the day, so I was lucky, I guess. But I didn't really use it that much that night, so it lasted through the next day, so good there.
So you think it's a good thing to have them through 12th grade?
Yeah, because then we can email teachers if we have questions on homework, or other students if they're doing the same thing and they have the same questions, so we can do a lot of group discussions and talk to our teachers.
Our goal is to be 100% paperless. It's been a transition year. I mean, I've noticed this year alone, copies are way down. We're not using nearly as much paper as we used to. Teachers will still do a few things just for backup purposes in case we need to. We had a situation about 2 weeks ago, came to school and the internet was down. That wouldn't have been that big of a problem about, a couple of years ago when we weren't using them that much. It was only down for about 15 minutes, so I think everybody is like, we should have a backup plan for a case, we have days like this or something like that happens. But internet's been pretty reliable around here, so that hasn't been that big of an issue for us. One of the other things we had to do, infrastructure-wise, is we had to put routers in each individual classroom so that there would be enough, access for all the kids. If we fire all 165 of them up at the same time, or once the whole building goes all 300, that they'll all be able to get through the router to the server. So that was one of the things we had to do this year too. And that's worked out pretty good. We haven't had any problems with students not being able to get on. One of the big things we're going to find out is actually starting tomorrow, we're going to do a practice for the online computer park examinations that the state's mandating this year. So our kids, instead of having to schedule them all day long in computer labs, just small groups at a time, all of our 7th graders will be able to sit down at the same time, log in, and take the test at once. So it's going to be real convenient for testing purposes.
Did you find, you mentioned that some kids may not have internet access. Was there a learning curve at the beginning where some kids had been on computers forever and other kids had a little problem learning them because they weren't as used to them?
Boy, I'll tell you what, they are so intuitive when it comes to using them. One of the things we find out, though, typing skills, they're a little weak in typing skills. That's been getting better as the year's been going on. We have an enrichment class where one of the things they've been working on as 7th graders is some online typing programs that help them with those skills. Another thing that we did was the way we kind of rolled them out. The students would, in one particular classroom, we brought in a technology coordinator and some of the teachers that were good at it. And so every day they would teach them how to do, or that particular day they'd teach them how to do certain skills with them. And we actually set up on our webpage a resource page that teaches kids how do you click and drag on a Chromebook, or what do the shift function keys do, and so kind of like a little guide to help them with that too. But I'd say after a week or two, they got pretty, they've been pretty good with learning how to use them and everything.
What about, is there opening more for cheating?
We had some serious concerns about that, but because we can see what they do and we can always check their history. So even if they don't share something with us, if we're concerned, like your answers are exactly the same, we can just click on their history, last modified, and then it shows
what
every change that they made.
If they not, So
and if they shared it with somebody else, you can see who it was shared with. So, I mean, Google allows us a lot of opportunities to check for things like that.
Definitely. Another plus about things like you were sharing the documents, and I did a project today. We have a student who is regularly absent because she has medical problems, and she can still keep up with her work because everything is submitted to her. She's not here. She doesn't have to be here to get a piece of paper. So she keeps up on all her work, and I see it checked just like when I check in Google Classroom. I see, done, done, done is what it says. Hers is always done as well because she knows that as long as she feels up to it, to do her work, it's always getting done. So things like absences, people are able to keep up on their work and not fall behind. Right. So that's been a definite plus.
Same thing if a kid goes on vacation. We have a student on vacation right now, And he emailed me this morning. I wasn't sure how to do this. I mean, I immediately got the email. I sent him back. I'm like, go check your Google Calendar. And he was like, okay, I got it. So there's not really a lot of issues with I come back to school after being out for 5 days and I'm 5 days behind.
The meeting, and one of the 8th graders say, why didn't we get them? You know, how's come the 7th graders got them and we didn't get them? And that's the bad part about it. You have to start it somewhere. So the 8th graders actually, we're getting a cart so that the 8th graders will have access to a classroom lab throughout the year, so they'll at least have some, you know, the ability to work on that some for the rest of the year. But you have to just start with it somewhere. I remember when we built the new school, the kids that just graduated said, "Why didn't you do that last year?" You know, we didn't get a chance to use. So it's kind of the same thing.
Well, my
Yes.
textbook is actually online already.
Right.
We don't. The kids don't carry a textbook for me anymore. We have it's through Pearson, and we have a I don't know what you call it with them. That we
Agreement?
have, yes, an agreement with them that we use it, and so the kids have an edition, and I actually can get all my teacher editions there, and they have extra things. They have PowerPoints and things that I can download, but it's all so that the kids, when I say, okay, get your book out, it's a Chromebook being opened, and they go on there, and they can do extra assignments on there, or I can type out assignments and then submit them through Google Classroom, which is what I normally do. But there's videos that they can watch that they wouldn't be able to if they were looking at a paper book. There's lots of different, more alternative ways to learn it. There are even, the textbook even has a read to you, so that they can actually hear the text being read to them as they're reading it, which is great for some of the kids who struggle with that. That's been a real plus, and it keeps kids more focused because that's what they're used to. They're used to sitting in front of a computer, and it really, you can see it, they're very focused, much more focused than when they're writing and they're kind of drifting off. We don't see as much drifting off and just, you know, not paying attention.
They can change like their backgrounds.
Yeah,
and
we
things
just want to
like
put
that.
pictures
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
they love, you know, when they put a new one up, they love saying, "Did you see this, Mrs. Seymour? Did you see?" You know, they love that. Yes,
Right, change their background.
Yes.
That was,
And
and
so
then
they
some of
like
that stuff, like they taught me how to do that. I mean, some of the stuff that, like I'm walking around watching kids do stuff, how did you change your screen? How did you do that? And then because they play with it,
Right.
you know, at home or whatever, they learned how to do stuff. And it wasn't stuff that was frivolous, it was stuff that,
Right.
oh, that's good to know. I'm glad that we
Yes.
know how to do that now. So that, you know.
And even the changing of the backgrounds, it gives us a side that we can see of the students that we don't normally do. You know,
Like
how
what you're
interesting of
interested
what they choose. Yeah,
Right.
and that gets us to then have a better rapport with the kids. So then it just really overall helps the classroom. It's just one more little thing that helps.
Well, it probably also makes them own the Chromebook more to
Yeah.
take care of it. It's their stuff's on it.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Definitely.
Yes.
I get a chance, just in my role as a principal, I'm in and out of all the different classrooms and study halls and things, so I'm always impressed with when I see the kids on their Chromebooks, they're working on their schoolwork. They're not, you know, surfing on sites that have nothing to do with class, or they're, you know, I'll just spot check. What do you work on today? Boom, they're pulling up a presentation they're doing in someone's class or a homework assignment they have somewhere else. So I'm really impressed. I mean, it seems like the teachers have said, their focus has been really impressive this year and how they do that.
Okay, so once again, so let's review what we're doing with our Chromebooks right now, okay? Just for our sake of review. We are writing a rough draft, typing our rough draft, using our outline, so using our perfect outline format. Then we're going to share each paragraph with someone across the room on our Chromebook. Once you receive the shared document, you are going to edit. Make sure you type in a different color. So you're giving your partner from across the room information, you're helping them, you're editing their paragraph. Once your paragraph is good and you've made the changes, then move on to your body paragraphs.
So did you kind of grow up with the technology? Does that help?
Kind of. I mean, when I was little, I had like those little Game Boy things, so I was used to playing with technology all the time, and then now I get like video games and stuff. But I've never really had a computer until when I got the Chromebooks.
So how difficult that was a learning curve was it?
It wasn't that difficult. I mean, my uncle, he is advanced in technology, so and my mom thinks I have some of his genes or something.
No. So it wasn't that difficult.
Kind of. It kind of was.
But I mean, you got it pretty much set up now?
Yeah.
I mean, is this something that's going to help you? You're going to have these things through the 12th grade, right? And then
Yeah.
you'll be working in technology, whatever you do with your life after that. So Does it give you think it gives you a step up in that kind of thing?
Yeah, it like if I want to work with technology in the future, it would help with that, with these Chromebooks, and I know how to do everything with the computer.
Any advantages, disadvantages that you think of?
With the advantages, I think I'm more organized than I was last year.
Okay.
And disadvantages, like sometimes I forget to charge it, so I have to get out of bed and then go plug it in. And it's just a lot of responsibility.
Do you see this as being the kids from Jefferson will have more of an advantage over kids in maybe some other school districts as a result of this?
That's hard to say. I mean, teaching still comes down to teaching.
Right.
What I see the advantage with is teaching some of these skills that you need in the 21st century. You know, these kids are going to be able to sit down now and do, some type of a PowerPoint presentation. A lot of them do it now. They'll be able to work more in spreadsheets. They'll be able to do a lot more online type. A lot of things that in the professional world and even technical world students have to do now. I mean, you go into a garage and the mechanic's using a laptop to diagnose what's going on with your car. So, we just think that the skills they're learning here, it kind of changes and shifts the whole way you look at things. We're even now, we're using, our science teachers using an online textbook where there's not even a hard book anymore that they use. It's everything that they need to access is online. So it's really changing the way. And really the cost of them, if we were looking to adopt 2 new textbook series, that would have cost more than buying Chromebooks for all the kids in the 7th grade. So it's to us the cost keeps coming down and down on them. So it was worth it for us. It actually makes economic sense to be able to do that too.